Falling off doesn't make you a failure. It's staying there because of pride, because of ego, and even perfectionism is what makes you a failure. Welcome to the Elite 360 podcast. I am your host, Anthony Waite, and it's so good to be with you as we talk about life, leadership, and leaving a legacy, one that you will one day be proud of. Today, I want to share with you a framework that I spoke about during one of our leadership sessions this week. Every Wednesday, we have a leadership call, and every Saturday morning is a leadership men's devotional. So if you want to join those, I'll put the link down below to our school community where we talk about leadership, we talk about life, we talk about real conversations and how to overcome real obstacles that we all have. But unfortunately, in today's world, we hide behind the highlight reel. We want everybody to see the perfectionism. And as you probably already know, because you're listening to this podcast, life isn't about being perfect. It's not about perfection. It's about progression. And all of us are in progression to become the person that we were called to be. Nobody's born a leader, and nobody's born a great leader. It must be built through time, effort, and focus on the person that we're becoming. And you're going to fall short. You're going to fail. You're going to feel like a failure. But how you overcome that and pick yourself back up and move forward is going to determine your future. So today I want to give you a framework that has helped me. It's helped the people that I coach, the clients that I coach for leadership and development, my coaching group. This is a framework that I use personally, and I want to share it with you. And I'll give you a download that you can have so you can look at it, reflect on it, and use it in your life, because you're only as good as the systems that you built. You can't rely on talent alone. It must be fortified through consistent learning and progression. And so that framework that I'm going to share with you today, I hope helps you become the leader that you're called to be, because when you get better, you're able to help the people around you get better. And when you commit yourself to growing, only then can you grow other people. You cannot give what you do not have. So by learning the concepts, living them out, and then leading other people, that is kind of the cycle that we need to have as leaders. We cannot give what we do not have, but in order to have the outcomes that we want, we must be open to learning the outcomes, learning discipline, learning the consistency, learning the character traits that we want to encompass, then living them out on a day-to-day basis, and then leading them, leading by them, leading and being the example for other people. One of the misconceptions that I often see in leadership is that leaders never drift. Leaders aren't supposed to fail. There is no failure when you're a leader. You can't accept failure. Or you may have heard this: failure is not an option. And that is the biggest misconception that I hear today. And that is something that I believed early on in my career in the military. It's something that I believed seeing leaders who portrayed this perfect character, this perfect person. And I thought to myself, man, I'll never have what they have. I'll never be who they are. And the truth is that it was all a mask to hide the flaws, the struggles, and hidden behind this success, if you will. What I've learned over the years is that people don't want a perfect leader. People don't need a perfect leader. And whenever you portray this perfectionism, like you have it all put together, what you do is you separate yourself from the people that you lead instead of connect yourself to the people that you lead. For a long time, I would hide behind the achievements and hide behind the successes. I would never share that part of my life that I was ashamed of, because I didn't want to be found out. That imposter syndrome is real. And when we're trying to be perfect, what we do is we build barriers instead of a bridge to connect with those we lead and those we love. And little did I know that struggle, those circumstances, that adversity is exactly what I needed to connect and have the influence and impact that I have today. And so the misconception that leaders never drift and that failure is not an option, what it really needs to be said is that leadership is recognizing the failure, recognizing the drift. It's becoming aware that you're drifting. And then you have to take ownership. That's the acceptance piece. And then once we have accepted it, we have to re-engage. We have to refocus, reset, and then re-engage. And so that awareness, acceptance, and then action. This is how we break out of that cycle of drifting. When we do this, we're able to get back on course. We're able to get back in alignment. So don't focus on getting more achievements. Focus on being in alignment with your assignment, your mission, who you're called to be. So what does this look like? There's a couple of things in this framework that I'm going to give you, and I'll explain them a little bit in depth. Number one is you have to reflect. When something goes wrong, when you find yourself drifting, when you become aware of the problem, or the potential failure or feeling like a failure, you have to reflect. Ask yourself, what happened? How did I get here? Notice I said, how did I get here? It's not who got me here, who's to blame for why I'm the way that I am today. It's what happened, what did I do to get here? A leader's first job is to define reality. And most leaders are not aware of the reality of what is. They see the problem and they automatically look for somebody to blame. And if that's you, I want you to understand that what I have found over the last 23 years is that more times than not, I am the problem. And the good news is that if I'm the problem, that I'm also the solution. Nobody's coming to fix me. Nobody's coming to save me. It's up to me to change me. And when you understand that and you use that as a life stance, then you realize you no longer become a victim of your circumstances. The question is, what happened? How did I get here? What is the reality? And where am I out of alignment? There's a couple of areas of my life that I always look at. And in these areas, I often identify the patterns, the decisions, and the distractions that got me out of alignment. And those areas are my mindset, meaning my thinking. What am I allowing to change my thinking from a negative to a positive and from a positive to a negative? What is the thinking patterns that I have and what distractions have got me and led me here? The next one is my movement, my physical body. How am I doing with my health? One meal doesn't make you fat, and one good meal is not going to make you healthy. It's the decisions and the patterns over time that lead us to becoming overweight, to getting the diagnosis, to finding ourselves in a position where we don't like the way that we look. I can't tell you how many times I've been to the beach or to the swimming pool, and I see the majority of men, probably 99% of the men, walk around with their shirt on at the pool, at the beach in 120-degree weather. And I think to myself, like, man, if you would just take care of yourself every single day, maybe you'd be proud of the body that you built. You would be proud of how you look. And it's not an arrogance thing, it's a confidence thing. And then when you don't look the part, how are you going to play the part? In the military, when I walk into a room, I'm in shape, I take care of my health, and I take care of my body because I realized one thing early on is that perception becomes reality. And if I'm going to lead thousands of people and going to tell them that they need to be fit, they need to be focused, they need to be engaged, they need to take care of themselves, they need to PT every single day, then I better be doing it myself. It's leading by example. And so when you look at yourself, it's the mindset, it's the movement, your physical body, it's the meaning, the meaningful relationships that you have in your life. How are you investing into people? Not just spending time, but investing time into people. How are you nurturing those relationships? When somebody calls and they need an advice, or they need some words of encouragement, or they need a framework, or they need some kind of realignment to help them think differently, how are you taking the time to invest in those people? Oftentimes I hear from leaders is that, well, I'm too busy. Well, busy is the new broke. If you're too busy to go to the gym, you're going to have a broken health system. If you're too busy to invest in your relationships, you're going to have a broken marriage or a broken influence with your kids. And so busy is the new broke. You cannot be too busy to bond with those that you lead and those that you love. The next one is mastery. What are you mastering? How are you becoming an expert in your field? For me in healthcare, I have to understand medicine. I have to understand education. I need to understand how to deliver, how to speak, how to influence people, and to create curriculum. In the military, how do you master becoming an example for your troops, for the people that you lead? How do you, most importantly, do you master yourself? The good, the bad, and the ugly. And so mindset, meaning, movement, and mastery, these are the things that we have to reflect on and ask ourselves, where am I out of alignment? Because what I have found is that when you're out of alignment with one of those things, the other ones take a hit as well. When I'm out of alignment with my physical body, my relationships take a hit. My influence takes a hit. My spiritual walk takes a hit. When I'm out of alignment with my meaningful relationships, everything else takes a hit. Why? Because they're all interconnected. Those are kind of the pillars of life that we have to look at and understand that if we are investing in those four buckets, then chances are our influence and our impact are going to increase. It's very simple, but it's not easy. So the first part is we have to reflect. When you find yourself in a place that you do not desire, You have to understand that where do I need to realign my discipline because I have allowed distraction to take me off course. Failure to do this will lead to desperation. You find yourself in a place of desperation where you're trying to fight to get back to baseline, right? It's people that finally work out after they have a diagnosis. They finally try to fix their relationships after the person's walked out the door. And so you don't want to wait for a crisis situation to fix it. Don't be reactive. You have to be proactive. So reflect on what happened. How did I get here? The next one is we have to reset. Once you reflect and you become aware of how I've become out of alignment, then we have to reset. We have to release the guilt. This is a big one for me because oftentimes I let my past predict my future. I feel the guilt, the shame, and I think about the past more than I think about what's the next move. And so when we reset, we release the guilt, we forgive ourselves. We say, hey, you know what? I wasn't the person that I was supposed to be today. I missed the mark. I came up short, and that's okay. But if I dwell too long on it, it's going to affect me moving forward. And so once you release the guilt, then we have to take ownership and ask ourselves, what's the next move that'll help me move the needle forward in my life? Just the next move, not the next 10 moves, but what's the next move? What am I committed to doing? Most importantly, who am I committed to becoming? Understand that your next move is more important than your previous mistake. Now that we have stopped to reset, now we have to refocus. We have to return to our mission. Don't abort the mission. You have to return to the mission. This is where most people kind of fall short because they end up giving up. They have a lofty goal. They have a outcome that they're trying to get, a target that they're trying to achieve. And when it becomes difficult, their default is to quit. I don't want you to abort the mission. I want you to reset and re-engage the mission. What is it that you're after? What are you trying to do? This requires us to identify one habit, or a responsibility that requires your attention. The other part of this too is you have to understand and commit to what am I willing to sacrifice? Because if you're like me, I like to throw a bunch of stuff on my plate. I like to get busy. I like to always have stuff to do. And sometimes instead of doing more, I got to start taking stuff off so that I can focus on the core elements that move my life forward. This is kind of like the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, right? It's what are the 20% that moves the needle, the 80%? It's the 20% of actions are going to give you 80% of your results. 20% of your relationships are going to give you 80% of your satisfaction and your fulfillment. So identifying your 20% allows you to stop focusing on things that do not matter. When I'm helping people, I like to help everybody, but there's also a group of people that no matter how much you try to help, they still want to hold on to their BS, that belief system. And until they're ready to help themselves, I cannot do nothing for you. But I would waste so much time on people that weren't ready to change. They weren't ready to develop. They weren't ready to become better. And I would get frustrated and I would say, man, and finally I realized that by focusing on all this stuff, I'm missing out on the 20% that really want true transformation. I'm focusing on the 20%. I'm losing sight of the 20% that really do want my help and they do want to change and they want to be better. We put 80% of our focus on our work and making more money and getting more achievements. Meanwhile, that 20% is at home waiting for the best of you, but instead you give them the rest of you because you've been so focused on trying to get the next achievement, trying to get validated in the office. So understand that when you refocus, you return to the mission. You don't abort it. You go back to your core values, your virtues, and most importantly, your vision for what you're trying to create. So now we have reflect, reset, refocus. Now it's time to re-engage. This is where we take immediate action and we course correct along the way. We get back on track and we stay focused, stay committed. We've identified our 20%, and now we're moving forward with aggression. We're moving forward with persistence. We're moving forward with purpose. And it's that commitment that keeps us going. It keeps us in the game. And so when we re-engage, we're not looking for perfect timing. We're not looking for everything to be aligned. We're trying to take action and move forward. And it's going to be ugly. It's going to be rocky. It's going to be a lot of unknowns, but just trust the process. This is where your faith comes into play. This is where you are committed to what you are creating. Eventually, you will get the outcomes. So we have to reflect, reset, refocus, and then re-engage. We don't need more motivation. We don't need another book or another person to motivate us. Motivation is temporary. It might get you going, but it's ultimately the discipline and the decisions that we make that get us to where we want to go. The lack of discipline and the lack of decision making or poor decision making will take us in a place that we don't want to be. And so each step has to be moving in the right direction. If you are moving in the wrong direction, the last thing you need is motivation, because speeding up will only get you to the wrong place faster. You think about when you're taking a trip in the car. If you're off course and you took the wrong road, you don't push the gas pedal and keep going, hoping that you're going to run into your destination. You stop, you look for directions. And once you have them, then you turn around and you go back on track. You get back on the right path. Same thing goes in life. But most people, when they're in a dark place, when they're in the wrong place, they're traveling the wrong path, they want motivation. They want somebody to validate and justify why they're screwed up. Oh, it's okay. You're okay. It's going to be fine. Nobody's coming to save you. And it's up to you to recognize, to become aware, and then accept, and then take action. Be aware of the problems. Be aware of your part that you played in that problem. Accept the fact that, hey, I'm the problem and I'm the solution, and then commit to taking action. That is the framework. That is the easy way to say, hey, you screwed up, and that's okay. You might have failed, but that doesn't make you a failure. Now, here's 3 things that I want to share with you that have stopped me in the past that I've become aware of. And these are kind of hurdles or obstacles, if you will, when we're doing this, when we're trying to use this R4 method: reflect, reset, refocus, and reengage. Number 1 is guilt. We allow guilt and shame to paralyze us. We made a mistake. We came up short. We made the wrong decision. We treated somebody the wrong way. And now that guilt and shame has paralyzed us from moving forward. And so what do? We become the victim. We start pointing fingers instead of taking ownership, and understand that the guilt keeps us stuck or moving backwards. Ownership is what moves us forward. And what I have found is that you might not be able to change your past, but you can prevent it from predicting your future. The longer that we dwell on the past, the more and more it becomes our reality, and the more we're susceptible to repeating that process. And so understand that although I can't change the past, I can prevent it. I can commit to keeping it from predicting my future. But we see this a lot today, where people just repeat the past. Instead of stopping, pausing, using this R4 method, instead they make the same decisions and same choices that keep them repeating the process. And they live their life over and over again. There was once said that some people live to be 90 years, and some people live 1 year 90 times. Which one will you be? Will you be that person that continues to repeat the process, to continue to get the same outcome over and over again? Or are you willing to pause and take ownership and say, you know what? Today I'm committed to becoming this person. Today I'm committed to my mission. Today I'm committed to becoming in alignment with my assignment and who I'm called to be. The choice is always ours. The next one that prevented me for a long time was this all or nothing mindset. It was 0 or 100. There was no in between. If I couldn't go to the gym for an hour, I didn't go at all. If I only had 30 minutes, it's not good enough. And this all or nothing mindset really keeps us from doing something. And no matter if it's one thing, if it's 2 things, if it's a little, it's okay. Doing something's better than doing nothing, because choosing to do nothing is still a choice. And so we have to get out of this all or nothing mindset and just know that sometimes good is good enough. But what happens is we compare and we compete our actions and our results to other people, and we say, well, that person's better than me. I didn't do enough. I'm not good enough. Or we let pride prevent us from moving forward. Well, I'm already good. I'm better than that person. They don't measure up to who I am. I'm where I'm at because of me. And we let pride and ego control us. The other side of the pendulum is we let insignificance control us, where we're never good enough. So why even try? I'll never measure up because I'm just not good enough. That person's better than me. They got it better than me. They have more opportunities than me. My adversity in my past is why I'm screwed up. And so insignificance makes us feel less than, so we stay paralyzed. Or pride, we're too good, we're good enough. We've already arrived. Everything's as good as it's going to get. You cannot let either one of those stop you from moving forward. So that 0 or 100, we have to find the middle ground and understand that our successes don't define us and our failure does not define us. If we rely on either one of those, we will get stuck. We have to play in the middle. Again, using that driving mentality, when we're driving down the road, we don't want to go too far right because we'll hit the barrier. If we go too far left, we'll fall into the ditch. We have to stay the course and stay on our path. And what we do is We don't pull into somebody else's lane when they're driving by, do we? We stay in our lane. We become aware of our surroundings. Same thing goes for you. When we're going down this path, when we're pursuing a new endeavor, we don't want to compare and compete against the person next to us. The competition is right there in front of us. It's us. It's a you versus you, not a you versus them. And so understand that that 0 or 100 mentality, that all or nothing mentality will never serve you. It will never get you to where you want to go. You might get one, achievement. You might hit the mark one time, but there's no consistency in that all or nothing mentality. Another thing when it comes to this all or nothing mentality is understand that missing the mark one time doesn't make you a failure. It's choosing to stay there. It's continuing to compromise and justify why you're staying there. Oh, I had one bad meal, so I might as well have the dessert. I might as well eat the ice cream. I might as well. And this cascade of negative choices and negative decisions lead us down a path where now we're too far gone and we feel like, well, it's too late. There's no going back. And so we have to understand that one workout doesn't make you fit. Missing the gym one day doesn't make you unhealthy. It's when you start doing it repeatedly. You don't get to success by one decision. It's repeated decisions over time. And then getting to failure isn't just one bad decision. It's one bad decision repeated over time. And so that's why this awareness piece is so important, because if we know that we're off track and we become aware of it, we're able to course correct and get back on track. And then it just becomes a matter of staying consistent. And what I found about consistency is, look at your life and find out where you lack confidence. If you are not confident in your relationships, if you're not confident in your spiritual walk, if you're not confident in your health, chances are you lack consistency. You haven't been doing it long enough. People often ask, like, how did you get so good at public speaking? And you can get in front of people and just talk and share a message. Well, I had to do it over and over and over again for a really long time before I got good. I had to success, and then I had to suck less. It's like you have to go through the process. But a lot of people don't want to try because they're afraid of failure. Failure is proof that you're going in the right direction. It's proof that you're growing if you push through to it. But most people will push through, hit failure, and then stop and then stay put. So don't ever fail and fall down and never get back up. Fail, get back up, and keep going. And so that piece of awareness is so important. The last thing that I've learned is that as you become better at leadership, as you become better at leading yourself, one of the most important characteristic traits or attributes that you can have is shortening the gap between distraction or disruption and discipline. We're all going to fall short. We're never going to hit the mark all the time. We're going to get distracted. We're going to have disruptions in life. Life's going to slap you in the face. It's going to knock you down. But the shorter the gap between falling down and getting back up, meaning getting the discipline to get back in the game, that is what makes you better and better. The shorter the gap, the better you can reset, refocus, and re-engage. But the longer the gap, the longer you stay down, the longer and more time we have to compromise and justify why we are there and why we should stay there. And then we get comfortable in the chaos. We get comfortable with the drama. We get comfortable with the bullshit. We get comfortable with the belief system that, hey, I'm just not good enough, or it's just not for me. It might not be for you right now, but that doesn't mean that you can't be disciplined enough to design the life that you're after, to design the relationships that you're after, to design the spiritual walk or the physical health that you're after. But you got to stay in the game long enough. So how do we do that? We shorten the gap between this disruption and the discipline to get back in the game. Discipline is very simple. It's the ability to give yourself a command and follow through with it regardless of how you feel. But most people will fall down and they feel like a failure, so therefore they continue to fail. Understand that your feelings aren't facts. Your feelings are an emotion, and they never take us in the right direction. So you can't make decisions based off of emotion. You got to make decisions based off of your character, your core values, your vision, your virtues, the habits that you need to encompass. And so that's why it goes back to becoming aware of the decisions, the habits, the behaviors, the beliefs that surround your actions. Because without that, you'll continue to repeat the process. You'll continue to make the same mistakes. So start looking at, where do I need to shorten the gap between distraction and discipline? Because failure to do that leads to destruction. And our job is not to create a life that's destructive in nature, but creative in nature. Where am I creating the fruitful relationships? Where am I creating the relationship with my God? Where am I creating the health, the wealth, all the things that I desire? How am I building and creating around those instead of destroying those? And unfortunately, this is where people, ruin their life is because they live a destructive life. They make these habits, these decisions, these choices that destroy their health. They destroy their relationships. They destroy their spiritual walk. They destroy their wealth creation. And they find themselves in a hole that they cannot get out of. So shorten the gap between destruction and distraction and building the discipline to get going. Here are some questions that I want you to think about. And these are questions that I asked myself as well. And I wrote these down for you. But the questions we have to ask ourselves is, one, where have I drifted? Where am I drifting in life? Where am I just coasting or going through life instead of growing through life? Once you become aware of that, make that your key focus for the next 90 days. Don't worry about everything else. Focus on that one area, because once you build that up and you strengthen that, the rest of them will follow suit. The next one is, what excuses have I been making? Where have I been justifying my behavior or my choices or my actions? Where have I compromised on my core values and therefore it's affecting my character? The next one is, where do I need to forgive myself? Where am I allowing guilt and shame stop me or paralyze me from moving forward? What is the identity that I have created that is not in alignment with my assignment? Where do I need to forgive myself? But most importantly, who do I need to forgive in this process? Forgiveness is a powerful thing. And when you do that, it releases the guilt and the shame and the anger and the frustration that comes along with beating yourself up, with that negative self-talk. The crazy thing is I tell this to people often, is that, next time you go to the grocery store, just watch the people you're do the grocery store. Look at people and just watch. People watch. And in today's world, you don't have to ask somebody if they're depressed or anxious. You can look at them in their body language, how they carry themselves, and you can tell who's dealing with depression, who's dealing with anxiety, because you can look at their face, you can look at how they walk, how they treat people, and you can tell that when somebody is feeling one of those things. They're treating people really bad, and it's not because the person's bad. It's because they're treating people how they feel about themselves. And it's unfortunate, but if you pay attention, you can tell who's suffering from those elements. And so for you understand that people are watching. And when you're allowing those things to affect you, the depression, the anxiety, the guilt, the shame, you don't have to tell anybody. They can feel it. They can feel whether you are at 100%, whether you are intentional, whether you have their best interest at hand. They can also tell whenever you have an agenda, whenever you are not in alignment. And one of them connects us, and one of us takes us away from people. It pushes us away. We get that bad vibe from people, and we say, man, you know what? Every time I'm around this person, I feel some sort of way, and it's not good. Eventually, those people will leave, and they'll never come back. And so as a leader, you have to be aware of those, because your vibe will determine your tribe. So the next question is, what is one behavior that I need to change right now? Not the next 5 behaviors, but what is one behavior that I would like to change, and one choice that I would like to make consistently over time that will change the way that I look at things, so the things I look at begin to change. And this includes ourselves. When we don't see ourselves as worthy or of value, we'll never look at other people as value or add value to people. We'll never see other people as worthy to be, part of our life. And so we have to understand that how we see people is directly reflected in how we see ourselves. If I can't love me, then I can't love other people. If I can't lead me, then I can't lead other people. And the same thing goes for you. We cannot give what we do not have. So what's one behavior that I need to change so that I can move forward instead of being stuck in the past? The last one is, what is one action that I am committed to taking right now that's going to move me in the right direction? One action that I can take that will help me fix my problems, not overnight, but over time. So think about these questions, write them down, and take inventory of where you are and where you need to go. I hope this episode served you today. If it did, share it with somebody you lead or somebody you love. Also, if you're looking for a community where growth-minded people get together and we have these kind of trainings, we go more in depth in these episodes, we have these conversations that are difficult, but also mentorship and also leadership trainings and one-on-one calls and group calls with me inside the community, then join the link below. I created a school platform where you can join, and each week we have multiple calls. There's frameworks, there's PDFs, there's trainings that walk you through the process of having true transformation. This is where we do the work. And if you're interested in joining, right now for the next 30 days, I have it open for free. After that, it will be a paid group. But if you're interested in joining and leveling up your leadership, becoming better in life and creating a legacy, then jump into the group. I'll put the link below, And I'd like to see you in there and like to have you join us. And I'd like to mentor you personally and share with you more in depth the thinking processes that allow for true transformation. So if that's you, join in the link below and I'll see you in there. Have a good one. I'll see you on the next episode.